Was that dramatic? I feel like it was dramatic.
Okay, closing that now so my neighbors don't hear me talk to a camera. Hello and welcome again to the shop. Some of you have already seen this and gotten the grand tour, so I'm gonna skip that. Main floor, fake little house, which is just the cutest freaking thing in the entire world. Now I shall go over my current thoughts about this place. Ugh, boring. Admittedly adorable, but we can make it better. My whole life I have been plagued with the need to customize everything that I own. My workshop, where I will be working on lots of aesthetically impractical projects and also possibly meeting with clients down the line for interior decoration. It's time to start making this space vaguely historical. Essentially look like Gepetto's workshop. I am him. He is me. Clearly, this is a very large space. So we're gonna take it chunk by chunk. Hopefully in this video, I'm going to get this wall, the back wall, house upstairs. I have already made a tiny bit of progress, and that is staining the wooden railings and all of the stairs. Roll the clip.
For this, I decided to go with a stain mitt because I thought it was quite whimsical. But I'm going to tell you right now, do not use this on any wood that is not as smooth as a baby's bottom, because I got the worst splinter I've ever had in my life. Pulled that bad boy out all on my own, and I'll have you know I didn't even cry. Tell me you're afraid of heights without telling me you're afraid of heights.
Who's afraid of heights? Not this girl.
I'm not overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed. Shut up. I suppose the best place to start. Hello? Ah, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Taking what's in my brain and putting it down on paper. Right, let's get down to business. Hey. Cut that out. Conveniently, this video is sponsored by Buuuut. I really enjoy videos where I get to work with Buuuut because it blends so seamlessly into what I do anyways. An online organization tool, a way to keep track of all your inspo photos, your graphs, your charts, your to-do lists. I've used it for my Pink Pony Club, my Practical Magic laundry room. Break this up into 3 different boards. Inspiration, kind of the general design and plan, and a surprise board that I will show you later on in the video. Did I mention it's free to use? Huh? Hold on, Grandma's gonna set up a screen recording. So I've got my all-encompassing workshop page here. I'm gonna start a new board. I am going to choose one of these templates. Project plan, mood board, creative brief, character profile. I'm gonna do mood board. I'm gonna take all the pictures that I have saved and kind of pop them over. As mentioned, a lot of this is going to be quite literally Gepetto's workshop in different forms. Like this fella right here. That could be me. I believe this is the same workshop. Downstairs, I really want it kind of pretty much exactly like this, but a little bit reversed. Yeah, the vibes are correct. Color picker, so if you wanted, this helped a lot in my Practical Magic thing where I just kind of chose a color from each of the photos. This color palette is the most surprising color palette you've ever seen from me. Now we can make this kind of cute. Change the color of this background a little. I need this to be aesthetic as hell. Okay, so we got some tape here. Tudor style, warm and cozy. Couple more doodles here. Focus. I'm telling you, me and the draw tool, it's a problem. I gotta stop. We have our inspiration board here. So I think, my friends, we just have to start. I'll see you tomorrow. Are you ready to walk? I have already purchased 6 big boards of insulation foam. If you've seen the studio video, it is, oh, the bee's knees. Who knows, it might actually serve its original purpose in this situation because that wall back there is straight up like metal and then it's outside. So maybe it'll add a little bit of warmth in here. I don't know about you, but my executive dysfunction is at an all-time high recently. Work on my second Milanote board, the nitty-gritty. The plan. This one is going to be more just helping my brain decompress. I am an absolute wench for a to-do list. I can break it down day by day, not including the weekend. You girls gotta have some work-life separation, okay? Today, foam. Tomorrow, probably more foam. Monday, we're probably gonna start on the upstairs. I'd like to start the fake windows as well if we have time. And then Tuesday, finish everything up. On the left here, I'm actually gonna put my drawings that I did for the workshop tour video. Might switch up the stone wall a little bit. I will show you why. I do have a few things that I need to order and purchase for next week, so I'm gonna jot those down. Tudor diamond window clings that I'm gonna put on those windows right there. Those, unfortunately, I am just gonna get from Amazon. I don't love buying from Amazon, but because I don't know how to plaster, I'm going to stick a YouTube video of how to plaster on this. Not only can I just drag a link over, but also a little add-on through your internet browser that you can just go to the page that you would like to clip, choose the board you want, boop. I think we've got a game plan. Aside from all of the tools that I brought from home, I also popped in and got some shop tools. My first shop tools. I'm very excited. Would you like to see what I got? Soap. I don't have any here. And I realized through the splinter catastrophe of 2026, I had no way to wash my wounds. I'm just gonna put this in the bedroom. My own shop hammer, different kinds of nails, screwdriver, and then finally, but not least importantly, my first shop snacks, of which there will be many. First thing I think I'm gonna do, nail some of those boards into this wall because this is gonna be my plastered Tudor wall. So it's going to look something like this. Which means I think I can get away with just nailing the foam boards onto here and then cutting out like the outlet down there and that kind of stuff with fake beams. Somehow this is not tall enough. I gotta think about that a little bit. Nail this here and then create a separate board that's that long and just have this open so I can cover it with a faux beam. I don't know if this is important. I think this just houses wires. I'm probably just gonna have a beam right over it. In case it needs to be accessed, it can be accessed. This will all make a lot more sense once I kind of get into it, so. Let's go.
All right, kiddos, about 8 minutes into the video and we can finally get started. One of the best parts about working with foam is if you put it somewhere and you need to chop off a little bit, you can do it super easily. I decided to chop this in twain to give this pipe a little breathing room, which is as easy as slickety slicing or slippity slapping it back on there. I don't know. Okay. Trying to make my voiceovers more entertaining. How am I doing?
Right, so as mentioned, this wall is gonna be a little bit different than I originally had imagined. The wooden ply board part is like sticking out just ever so slightly from this. So I don't wanna make it all one flat surface because then it would just be like a deep inset to the windows and I think that would look kind of weird. Instead of making it all one stone wall, nail in like a fake wooden wainscoting. In between these two steel beams, I'm going to do the stones. So that means less stonework that I have to do, which is good because it takes a long time. This wall is just like insulation and then whatever the building is made of, I'm assuming metal. So I don't want to nail into this if I don't have to. They definitely nailed in from the outside and there's just like sharp screws sticking inside. So I'm wondering if I can wedge it in there, tap it down a little so that they become anchored onto those screws. And up there, I want to keep that shelf. It feels very Gepetto to have maybe some of my creations up there, some of my little guys, you know, or just decorations, like you're in a TGI Fridays. Board behind it so you don't see that like insulation. Yeah, that's the plan. I'll tell you what, Shoppe deodorant is one thing that I think I shall be purchasing because I am sweaty and stinky. All right.
For the fake wainscoting or wainscoting, I made each board just a different length. I didn't really pay attention to numbers with this one. Then I just dremeled in all of the details to make it look like really old jagged wood. Then taking this handy dandy wire brush, but not the wire part, the booty, and just pressing and carving into that foam, and it gives that kind of busted up, really cracky old wood. Then it was the fun challenge of taking the measurements of this window and transferring it directly onto this piece of foam.
This actually works. I'm gonna lose my mind. All right, here is progress for day 1 on the foam work. I didn't get around to carving out the stone on that, but I can do that tomorrow. Just like tiny slivers here and there. There's some gaps that I'm gonna have to cover with beams. Overall though, not too shabby. All right, my friends, I will see you bright and early in the morning.
The next day started with a bit of drama. The tiny bottle that I bought to keep Pip's baby teeth in, because in another life I was a paleontologist and she's basically a little raptor, was too small and I was quite sad about it. And so was Pip. Putting my disappointment aside, I headed to the workshop where I had the quintessential New Englander breakfast. I just want to say, I've had a couple people being like, oh, I'm visiting New England soon. I cannot wait to try Dunkin' because you're always drinking it. I would like to formally apologize to anyone who did that and then thought to themselves, what is this horse piss? It's purely out of convenience that I am a frequent customer. Also worth noting, I don't like watching footage of me eating. Moving on, I started roughing out all of these sketches of the stones for the stone wall, and then defined them and carved them out with my Dremel tool. It wasn't long before I realized that tiny little shards of burned up foam were projectiling near and around my face, and so I decided to protect my eyeballs a little, but also looking really flippin' cool.
Really flippin' cool.
Do you like my new minty gloves? Gotcha. To add some texture to this stone wall, I headed outside and found the best looking rocks. And then, much like Ditto in the new Pocopia game, I used Rock Smash many, many times. Turns out hitting things over and over and over again with a rock is a lot of work. I didn't give our ancestors enough credit. Slapped that bad boy with a heat gun just to try to get rid of the little dangly bits. This didn't really work all that well. And I tried sanding it. This also didn't work really well. So I gave up and just started painting the grout a dark gray. And then, always a shining example of proper posture and athletic prowess, I did the same thing for the second wall. Now listen, normally I like to include some nat sound in this, but this sounded like Jennifer Tilly crying, so... On to painting the wood wall, just a base coat of brown. This was quite monotonous and tedious, but I found it helped to throw in some girly pop moments. I got a head start on the beams. My other technique for getting wood grain into foam is just using the back of that wire brush, and I think it gives a little bit softer of a feel rather than the jagged edges that the Dremel has. And that's a wrap for day 3.
on this rainy, sloshy, disgusting day, I'm excited to just get done. Let me run down what needs to happen today. These dried beautifully. Those, I'm actually gonna go over all of that grout in a lighter color that I just picked up at the hardware store. I tend to make my grout color too dark because if you look at old stone walls, majority of them have a very light grout. Gotta do that. I started cutting out the 3-dimensional beams that are going to hide all of these wires. So as you can see, the faceplate of the beam, the sides. So that's gonna make a 3-dimensional cover. I think I had to make more of those, but to attach those all together, I have, specialty foam glue from Hot Wire Foam Factory. What else? End goal for today is to get all the wood pieces and stone pieces painted, if we have time. Oh my God, this actual chubby toddler. Plaster of Paris. I would like to get started plastering that wall. That's my stretch goal for today. My Olympic level acrobatic stretch to start demoing the siding on that little facade. So I brought my crowbar, we'll see. My hesitation with that is I think these wood parts would come off very easily because it's just very cheap, splintery wood. But the siding, actually no. I was worried that the siding was going underneath here, but it isn't. So this should cry bar out very easily. That is the plan for today. I do find that I get very productive when I'm here because I don't really have any distractions. You know, at home I can like pop in my house, have a little snacky, hang out with my dogs. Here, there's nothing to do other than work, so it works out. I did bring something from home to make this place a little bit more homey. Someday it will be quite cozy. For now, it does in fact feel like a Shawshank. So, add a little ambiance, huh? All right, let's get to work, team.
To add dimension to this wall, I put some black in between the cracks and started doing in between the knots as well, but it started to look a little bit too haunted house, so I lightened up a little bit on that. Once those were dry enough, mainly because I have the patience of a 4-year-old at Bertucci's, I started adding different shades of brown and gray and black gray and brown gray, just so the rocks weren't all the same color. Once that was done, I took the teensiest bit of white on my dry brush and just went over the tops, and this is really going to bring out those ridges and make it look a lot more like real stone. And then even though they were a bit damp, I just felt like I needed to make some progress, so I pinned up those boards onto the wall.
I'm gonna wreck it.
Please enjoy the thrill of watching me realize in real time that I've never actually used a crowbar before. Inexperience has never stopped me before, so it's not going to stop me now. It took me far too long to realize that there was probably an easier way to do this. And then back to the stone wall because I was seeking that sweet, sweet dopamine hit of puzzle piecing this onto the wall. Anything that didn't fit quite right, I just kind of sliced in with my X-Acto knife and then just forced it against its will. Admittedly, I did get a little bit careless and I sliced my finger real good with the X-Acto knife. Well, once again, I didn't even cry.
All right. I'm pretty comfortable calling it for today. I gotta get a band-aid on this bad boy. Not as much as I wanted, but that's okay. I gotta step back and realize this was a lot of work. We did not get to plastering, which I probably should have foreseen. I do have all of the 3-dimensional beams glued and nailed because I don't know if I was using that glue incorrectly, but it didn't work super great. I wanted to pause because there are some gaps due to my Poor exact-doing. That's gonna bug me if I don't fix it. So what I wanna do, maybe with Quick Seal or something, fill in the gaps from this side and add a little bit more of a different kind of glue just to make sure this is nice and sturdy, like so. That goes over that. That little one goes on top there. That goes over that, and then that continues over here. Oh, blustery. So those are the ones hiding all of the structural things. Then we can have some more like decorative ones that are gonna be way easier because I don't have to make them three-dimensional. Diagonal ones, you know the drill. Speaking of drill, I'm pausing on the demo upstairs because the siding is just drilled in, like screwed in. So I want to bring my drill here and I think it'll be way easier than using the crowbar. Executive decision, I'm going to save the windows for the next segment of this when I try to tackle the upstairs office. I just don't have enough time to figure those out yet. Just taking a little bit of pressure off of myself and putting it on next segment's plate. That being said, I'm gonna go home, eat some pizza. See you.
I threw some liquid nails into all of the seams just to give it a little bit more sturdiness. And then it was time to head upstairs to make a stupendous amount of noise. After all the racket, it was looking quite naked. I had a little bit of time to kill before Frodo's vet appointment, so I did end up painting a lot of the rafters. Now if you're thinking to yourself, this looks absolutely soul-destroying and no fun at all, you would be absolutely correct. The next day, the beams were looking a little bit too rigid, so I took my hot wire tool and tried shaving off the edges to make it look a little bit more worn until that broke. So I sat there defeated for probably 11 seconds before I switched to just shaving it off with the blade. Then it was time to paint all of these beams. What's that? You want to watch me cut out even more fake beams? Okay. These ones are for the exterior upstairs, and I had a lot of fun making them kind of wonkier than normal. My favorite parts about Tudor buildings is they just kind of look wizardy because they're so wonky. And as I always say, the wonkier the better.
All right. Forgive me if I am really sweaty looking. I've been doing a lot of work in here already, including some of the rafters, which really takes it out of me. Now, I pretty much sold out the hardware store that I've been going to of the brown paint that I was using, so I had to get a different one and try to mix a little bit of black in there. So if you see the rafters randomly change their hue and darkness, no you didn't. In fact, you may comment on how similar in color my beams are. I believe the fake beams should finally be dry enough for me to tack them onto this wall. I want to do that before plastering because I want the plaster to kind of envelop the sides because that's how old houses would have been built. So I'm going to put those up first and then we're going to get to plastering. Wrist is pretty al dente right now. I'm hoping I have the strength to keep doing it. Turns out making your entire first floor of your workshop into a tiny Tudor cottage is a lot of work for one person. Just gonna keep on trucking, all right? We're getting there.
I wanted to add in some wonky beams. It's actually my comedy troupe name. We only perform wood puns in a horrible British accent. At the end of the day, I'm just a girl whittling her XPS foam in a garage probably meant for a macho mechanic man. Speaking of which, I have met some of the neighbors, this being the most important one.
Goose. Wow, man.
That, my friends, is the audible sigh of someone who is losing her steam. Now it is time to start plastering.
Because I got Plaster de Paris, it has a 6 to 10 minute working period. So that means I have to work really quick. I'm gonna start in this corner, so if I mess up, you know, you kind of won't really see it. I don't think I'm gonna be able to chat while I do this because of the short working time. So, nervous. Okay, while we mix it up.
Using what little knowledge I have from about 2 plaster videos that I watched, got to work smearing it on the wall. Experienced plasterers, ye be warned, shield thine eyes. After the first 6-minute batch, I realized how much more of the wall I needed to do, and that meant cleaning out the bucket and all of my tools completely before starting a new batch. Because if you didn't think that I tried to ignore that, ended up with a section that looks like chunky oatmeal, then you don't know me very well at all. Which made me come to the realization that this was going to take 27 years.
Oh my god. This is going to take 27 years! Absolutely not.
And so a quick Google search and a trip back to the hardware store, I was equipped with joint compound and a little fridge siggy for a plaster dupe that I was hoping would save me a lot of time. So I confidently opened that lid.
What?
I said I opened I opened the lid. I was finally able to break this tomb-like seal, only to unveil a vision so foul.
Ooh. Ew. Good soup.
The consistency of this still didn't feel quite right, but I've never worked with this before, so I just went with it, and let me tell you, it got everywhere. I'll just say that it looked like a flock of seagulls had nested deep within the rafters.
Oh my god!
I did find though, I think I just wasn't using enough of it, so once I slathered on a generous amount and then spread it out, it was a lot better. Dare I say I was getting, nope, ignore that. I was getting pretty not awful at it.
Hooey. All right, I think that's it for today. I didn't get to the top because I ran out of both time and joint compound, so I'll do that tomorrow as well as the building upstairs. Left the plaster part undone because the plaster still has to dry and I didn't want to put something on top of it to prevent it from drying. Really quite difficult to see on camera. Yeah, there it is. Just some texture to the wall. Obviously you can still see green through, but we're gonna paint it, so. I'm tired, so I'm gonna go home and I'll see you tomorrow.
Let me just say that this can of joint compound looked a lot different, and suddenly my struggles all made sense.
Huh. Well,
the difference was night and day, so yeah, I'm not sure if the first batch was expired or something. I've been going to more of a mom and pop hardware store, and so a lot of their stuff is kind of old. Whatever, it's no use harping on it. We got the job done, so this day was just a whole lot easier. The method I found to be working for me was just simply getting the material on there, slapping it onto all of the wood without worrying about what it looked like, and then once it was all adhered, I could go over and make it smoother.
all right, holy cow. I am unfortunately here to tell you I ran out of the second bin right there. Yeah. What I think I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna get around to painting this for this video anyways. I think I'm gonna save this and then the fake windows and everything for when I do the interior of this office. So I think what I'm gonna do with that is just paint on like fake wear and tear as if the plaster has come off the building and you can kind of see its underparts, if you will. As I straight up don't wanna buy another bin of joint compound just so I can do that corner.
I would just like to add that there is no more humbling of footage than watching your derriere in overalls. What is that?
Let me show you how the joint compound dried. It's looking pretty good. It looks like plaster.
The only problem, I guess, is right here. It's just like a big crack because this is not super attached to the wall. So I kind of expected that. But you know, whatever. Would it have been better if I put a beam right over that? In the words of our beloved prophet Elijah, maybe. You know, is it a total cop-out to say that I like that it kind of adds a little bit of character? Back to painting. Thankfully, the joint compound on the ground scratched up very easily without any problems, which means I will not be learning any lesson and ignoring any consequences of my actions and not putting down a painter's mat, even though it would make my life easier. Time to test out my new shop vac, of which there is nothing more satisfying. I was far too lazy to figure out how to put on the wheels, so I just kind of drag it around. So for this weird insulation spot, eventually I'll figure out what to do with this. In fact, any suggestions are more than welcome. For now, I just put some unceremoniously painted boards. I just didn't want to look at that ugly gray plastic. So yeah, I don't know, let me know what I should do, whether it be more stone or maybe like beadboard. I don't know.
Alright, my friends. Before we start all the finishing touches, it is time for the third and final board, where I think Milanote truly, shines, is in the collaborative arena. In addition to everything I've already shown you, what you can do is add collaborators onto your board. They can come in, they can add photos, they can type little comments. For every other Milanote collaboration I've done, I've just had Savannah pop in and draw something silly. But for this one, I'm actually working with someone to create a sign for my shop. I'm working with a lovely lady named Bianca. She has experience working in themed entertainment. I'm so excited to bounce some ideas off of someone for once. I want to start reaching out to people and working with people because I will keep human art alive until my life force is extinguished from this mortal body. I'm hiring her to design the sign, send me everything that I need, the files, the dimensions. I think I'm gonna make it myself. Not in this video, but I think that would be like a really fun Patreon video. With all that said, let's set up the third Milanote board. Dragging my inspiration onto here. I want it to look like an old medieval kind of tavern sign. I liked the idea of having these tools in the middle and then like the shop around it. We kind of brainstormed together that it would be cute to have maybe a glue gun or a spool of thread in the middle. I have my meeting with her in a couple minutes. This right side, I'm leaving for her to drop whatever she needs to. Let's see how it goes.
Accompanied by my feline brand ambassador.
Yay, fun! Look how cute!
I cannot tell you how fun it was to use this feature on an actual meeting. She was able to drop in all her references. We were able to brainstorm and kind of draw over everything to help kind of narrow down what the next version of this is going to look like.
And now that it is in Bianca's capable hands, I think it's time to start the finishing touches on the workshop.
Three more times. Oh. Well, my friends, as far as this video is concerned, we're done. You probably know at this point, I don't love not completely finishing projects 100% through in a video. Obviously, I'm allowing myself this to be broken up piece by piece. Hopefully going to be renting this workshop for years to come. It's a process. This is a very good stepping stone. I'm quite happy with the progress we made. There are things that I still need to do. I need to make a couple more beams to hide places where my measurements didn't exactly line up. Age the sides of these to make them look a little bit older and less crisp. Paint the ledges brown, figure out what to do up there. There's all of that. I didn't finish the rafters. I literally just painted what you were gonna be able to see. So I still have to do that, but you know, that's a whole thing. The upstairs, we got a pretty good head start on. Here's what it looks like. Very cute, I think, with some fake windows, some aging and painting, some window boxes. It's gonna look very darling and I'm quite excited, but so many beams. Excited to make stuff in here and start decorating, getting furniture, probably off of Marketplace, as cheap as I can get it. Workbenches, saws, making it more functional. It's quite weird to kind of clock in because usually I work in my house or in my barn. It's nice, but also weird to physically drive to work. It's been a while since I've done that. Feels very productive, but also I miss my puppies. I spend a lot of hours here over the past 2 weeks, so I'm excited to take it a little easy for the next video and spend some time with Frodo, who is doing well. He had his stitches out and we can start little walks, so good stuff. He's on the road to healing. That's about it. Huge thank you to Buuuut for sponsoring this video and allowing me a little bit more time. They let me send the ad segments to them separately so that I could keep working on this, which is super helpful. If you would like to sign up for Buuuut for free, you can use the link in my description. Stay tuned for fixing this place up. Probably in a couple months, tackle the office up there. I'm tired. To borrow some vernacular from our British friends, I'm both chuffed and knackered. I love you very much, whether you're new or old to this channel. If you're new here and you feel like sticking around, feel free to subscribe. I upload every other Friday and we have fun here. And I will see you in my next video. Bye. Admittedly adorable. Ugh. Wasn't recording, hee hee ha ha. Walking on, broken ground. Ow, ow.
Oh my god. Okay. Yep. Careful.
Bee, 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 bee. When the night